Have you ever wanted to explore the ends of the earth? Are there magnificent flowers blooming at the bottom of the unknown abyss? Did the tempestuous sea currents truly submerge all traces of ancient civilizations? Can we predict the ever-changing weather in advance? For the many curiosities we have for this world, someone who possesses such a grand aspiration to measure the continent of Sindia with their own feet must be an indomitable hero, right? For example, he could be the prince of the Giant Clan, a famous warrior, or one from the Akuta clan, who are known as the Sons of the Forest. Much to the surprise of everyone, the person who possessed such a grand aspiration turned out to be a vulnerable little rabbit girl of the Harefolk clan named GAGA, which in the tongue of the rabbit folk means rattle. As you can imagine, the rabbit folk possess similar characteristics to regular rabbits, such as timidness and mostly nocturnal, and are wonderful at digging holes. The rabbit folk live in lush meadows. They tend to stay quiet during the day and only come out at night to gather food and conduct necessary activities. Rabbit folk work their farms diligently to ensure plenty of vegetable supplies for the entire continent of Sindia. Little GAGA was born with a stutter. Whenever she would speak quickly, her teeth would chatter and rattle. Thus, her mother named her GAGA, because she couldn't speak normally. GAGA had a difficult time making friends. To put it plainly, no one wanted to make friends with someone who stuttered. Poor GAGA was all alone. On the other hand, she always had time to think about questions that no other rabbit folk would ever attempt to ponder. For example, questions like, where was the boundary of her meadow? How many stars are there in the night sky? How long must anyone walk to reach the top of the furthest mountain? This is a bit strange. Rabbit folk would never ponder such things. Everyone just lived their normal lives as usual and go about with their daily routines about digging holes, farming, and reproducing. However, GAGA wasn't like any other rabbit folk. She wanted to leave the burrows to see how high the sky was and how broad the land could be. Any time GAGA was free to roam and play, she tried her very best to explore the meadows in every direction, until she could go no further, and every time she would come to the edge of the village. As her curiosity grew, GAGA knew every place in her meadow. She had explored every inch of ground and was so familiar with it she could tell you how many rocks there were near every tree in the meadow. She became very frustrated that there were no more places for her to explore in the meadow. However, each year, GAGA's mother would take her to the annual farmland convention and fair, all the way in Capital City. GAGA was truly amazed at the bustling metropolitan city. She had seen things that she hadn't seen back in her tiny little meadow, such as magic, technology, astrology, gladiator matches, and much, much more. After seeing the magic of the stargazers and the meteorological spells from the sorcerers, Gaga thought to herself, "It would be fascinating if I could learn these things too." But Gaga is just a simple farmer's child. There was no way that she could afford the expensive tuition to enter the Academy of Science and Astrology. What did she do then? Suddenly, her ears stood straight up. She had an idea. She makes use of her keen knowledge of her geography, combined with the natural abilities of all rabbit folk, and burrowed from her meadow straight to the academy. Rabbit folk also have extremely advanced hearing capabilities. "Of course," she said excitedly. The fact that she was born with a stutter had miraculously made Gaga's sense of hearing even better than the hearing of normal rabbit folk. As the days went on, Gaga listened intently to every lesson from underneath the academy. When she wasn't listening at the academy, she used her farming and exploration skills to develop her own unique meteorological magic, based on her perception of the seasons and the weather. The extraordinary Gaga was able to grasp both meteorological magic and astrological magic at the same time, which was unprecedented on the entire continent of Sindia. With pure talent and no educational background of any kind, Gaga applied and was accepted as the chief researcher at the Sindia Royal Academy of Meteorology. While her attention was devoted to learning for nearly a year, a rebel threat grew stronger during that time. The traitorous chicken men had developed a robot rebel army, and their attacks grew stronger and more aggressive. They were officially labeled as traitors to the Empire. The guards were eventually rendered defenseless, and they were no match for the robot army of the traitorous chicken men. As Gaga watched the destruction from the top of the observatory at the academy, she rattled her teeth and claimed, "Can robots resist nature?" At that point, Gaga became the biggest threat to the robot rebel army. Why, do you ask? I believe you already know. A famous rebel commander once said, "If for no logical reason you suddenly see a tornado, lightning from the sky, or even meteorites hitting the battlefield, that blasted rabbit must have done it."